Hi guys, welcome to session 30 of Marketing 102. My name is Yankit Kant, and in this video lecture, we are going to start with a new topic of the service marketing. Now, before this before this session, whatever session we have covered, they mainly focus on how we do marketing for a product, a good, which is a tangible item. But in this video series, we are going to understand how the marketing is done for a service component. Now, let us understand first the concept of this service marketing. Now, basically, in your everyday life, you consume service in some sort and in some manner. For example, if your area has a metro connectivity, so you take that metro to your school, to your office, or you take a bus. Similarly, you attend a lecture, you buy a book via internet. All these things are example of consumption of services. Now, service is not a thing. Remember this. It is not a tangible thing like a laptop, like a cell phone, like a book, but it is a process. The process is the product. Now, but at the same time, service they rely upon things for their performance. For example, a bottle of Pepsi is not a service, but when you sit at a restaurant and when you serve that cool drink, then it becomes a service. Similarly, a ride in the metro is a service, but not the metro itself. So therefore, service are different from products. So therefore, the marketing component also has to be different for the service component. Now let us understand how is service sector doing in India specifically. Now economy in India is one of the largest in the world. We are in top 5. It is the third largest as compared to the purchasing when we compare GDP according to the purchase price parity, and our country is also classified as one of the newly industrialized country. We are a member of G20, we are a member of BRICS, we are a member of a lot of developing economy, and we have continuously a very high growth rate. Then in India, economy has the potential to become one of the largest economy. So therefore, in that the service sector will play a very important role. At this point of time, almost more than 50% of the contribution in GDP is coming from the service sector. Our IT sector is one of the largest private employer in India. It employs a lot of people. Earlier, it was used to be agriculture sector. Agriculture sector is still one of the largest employer. In service sector, IT is the highest employer. But overall, if you see that agriculture is still one of the highest employer of your population, but the contribution of the agriculture is coming down and the contribution in the GDP of the service sector is going up. So therefore you will see in the coming time the service sector is going to play a very important role in the development and the growth of the Indian. Therefore it is very important for us to understand how these marketing is taking place in this service sector. Now, before we continue with the marketing or what are the tools of marketing, we have to understand how we characterize a service. So basically, a service is intangible, it is simultaneous, it is heterogeneous, it is perishable, and you cannot own a service. All these topics we are going to cover one by one. So let's start. First of all, we have the intangibility. Now, as you understand from the word, a service cannot be seen, it cannot be touched, it cannot be held, and it cannot be put on a shelf or display like you put a good, because it has no physical shape. No consumer can buy the physical ownership. They can only buy the experience. So you go to a movie theater, you watch a 3D movie. That watching of a 3D movie you cannot take home. You can only experience it at that point of time when you're sitting in the theater. You spend some time into it. So for example, if you go for some consultancy, it could be a medical consultancy, it could be a financial consultancy, you spend your time there. You cannot take that consultancy home. Then it is a process. When you give your clothes for dry cleaning, now you cannot see that dry cleaning process, but you can only realize that okay, my clothes are when better than when I gave them before dry cleaning. So no service can be examined before its enactment because of its intangibility. So right now, if you want to buy a laptop, you can go to a shop, you can go to a laptop vendor and you can check the product. They have put those products on display. But if you want to get a tutor, In that case, you can take a demo class. Demo class is one or two demo class you can take. But before taking those classes, before taking those demo classes, you cannot judge a tutor. So services like ticketing, babysitting, schooling, they are not intangible in nature. Then you have simultaneity. Now, when we talk about simultaneous, we talk about the continuous process. This means that the production and the consumption of the services, it happens together. Unlike in goods, the manufactured product can be kept in a warehouse, and when the demand is there in the market, those can be supplied to the market. But in case of service, the consumer has to be present at the service factory. That is where the services is being produced. Now, who produces service? Obviously, the service provider. So either the service provider comes to the consumer. So, for example, if you get the services of a plumber, if you get the services of an electrician, or you go to the service provider, so you go to a hair salon. So this simultaneity develops much more close contact with the customer because a person has to be there with the consumer in order to perform the service. And the service can be observed by the consumer in real time. Therefore, in service production and consumption cannot be separated. After simultaneity, we have the heterogeneity. Now, unlike in a production process of a good, that production process can be streamlined and it can be standardized. Therefore, when you manufacture 5 laptops, those 5 laptops will have the same build, they have the same quality, they will have the same features, same flaws if there is any. But when it comes to the service, no two services are same because service depends to a large extent on the human action and the interaction between the consumer and the provider. Now, because production and consumption it is happening simultaneously, so if I make a mistake while teaching you, yes, I have the time to correct that mistake. But after the mistake has been made, then I can correct it. So I cannot correct a mistake before the services is being consumed by you. For example, if I'm manufacturing a laptop and I observe that okay, one of the key in the keypad is not working. Now, before the laptop goes to the consumer, I can correct that mistake. Unlike if I am teaching you and I teach you something wrong, you have already consumed that wrong thing. So after the consumption of the wrong thing, yes, the mistake can be corrected. It is very difficult to standardize the quality of services. And because of this, we will say that okay, even though you can rectify the mistake in a services, but only after the wrong service has been consumed. After heterogeneity, we have the perishability. Perishability basically means that no service can be produced or stored before consumption like a good. So main source of many of the problem of supply and demand, which is the perishability, it is not there with the service. So for example, if services cannot be produced or stored, so if I have a batch of 10 students and out of those 10 students there are only 8 students in my class, so once the batch is over, those 2 vacant seats will be wasted. So therefore, once that service is rendered, whatever wastage there was, that wastage is finished. You can take the example of a scheduled flight. Now, if there are 60 seats in a scheduled flight and those 60 seats are not full, then the empty seats will go in vain. Now, most of the service provider, therefore, they focus on marketing mix on managing the demand because the service provider also knows that once the service has been rendered, I cannot recover my waste. In case of production of goods, if I am not able to sell, let's say my 2 laptops, I have manufactured 10 laptops in a year and I'm only able to sell 8 laptops out of 10. As a producer, I know that okay, I can take this 2 laptops in the next financial year and I can try to sell them then. But unlike the goods, services cannot be stored. Either you lose it, either you use it or you lose it. After perishability, we have known ownership. That is, consumers cannot own the service. So I go to a salon, hair salon, and I get a haircut. Now I cannot own that haircut. So if tomorrow or day after tomorrow or after a week or after a month, again I have to go for a haircut, I cannot do that haircut myself, again I will have to go to the salon. So ownership is not transferable from buyer to the seller, as in the case of product. The characteristics of services, we have the type of services. Now, type of services depends upon a lot of factors. So let's study them one by one. First of all, we have the service operation to volume of customers. That is, the service is being performed to how many people. So these can be professional services where you have low volume of consumer and you have one accountant performing the services for 2 3 people. Similarly, you can take the example of a legal services, medical services. They all have low volume. Then you have service shops. Their volume is very medium. Take the example of a bank where you service to 10 20 people. Then you have mass services like transportation where the service volume is very high. Volume of customer is very high as compared to the service operation. In a single go, the bus carries 40 50 people at once. Similarly, a flight carries 60 to 100 people at once. Then you have services on the basis of level of tangibility. That is the component of goods and service continuum. So there can be tangible dominant to intangible dominant. So for example, you buy a AC. Now technically buying a AC is a product, but that product has to be installed. The main focus is the tangible product, that is the AC. And the intangible portion is only the installation of the AC. So in this case, the tangible dominant is more and tangible component is dominant and the intangible component is very low. On the other hand, when you go to a when you go to a laptop shop to repair your laptop, so in that case major focus on the repairing, which is a service. But in that repairing, it might be observed that okay, we need a new battery, so they will give you a battery for a certain price. In this case, the service dominance is more and the good dominance is less because the main service is repairing of the laptop. Then you have customer to employee presence. Now, if you go to a ATM, you find there is no employee. That is only self-service is there. Similarly, in a railway station, you find weighing machine. There are a lot of now kiosks which give you a ticket. That is also a self-service. Then you have interpersonal services. That is both customer and employee are present. So, for example, school, hair salon, bank. The customer and the employee they are present at the same location. And then you have remote services. That is, you don't have to go anywhere. The employee will call you. So when you get a call from insurance companies, those are what? Those are remote services. That is, the person is sitting at the insurance office and he's calling you. You don't have to be present at the same location. Then we have services on the basis of customization and empowerment. That is how much the employee can customize and how much he is empowered to customize. Now, basically, if low customization is there in the product, so therefore it is obvious that there will be very low empowerment given to the employee. If the product is very low customized, you cannot customize the product a lot, you cannot customize service a lot. So you don't need to give a lot of power to the employee also. So first of all, you have low customization and low empowerment. You see this in your quick service restaurants. The menu is fixed. The process of making a burger or a pizza is fixed. The person who is serving you, he does not have a lot of power to customize the burger. Then you have high customization but low empowerment. So telebanking, that is, the product is the same but it can be customized according to the need of the employee, but in need of the person who is asking for those services. But the person who is calling you, the banking personnel, he is not so much empowered. The product is customizable according to the customer, but the employee does not have the power to amend it a lot. So you have high customization but low empowerment. Then you have low customization but high empowerment. So more often than not, when you go for radiology services, when you go for a medical services, there is a very high empowerment for with the doctor. He can talk to you in according to what way soothe you. He can change his way of talking to different patient. But if the X-ray has to be done, that X-ray has to be done in a specific way. So there is a very low customization how the service is provided. But the employee is very highly empowered to deal with the customer. And then finally you have high customization and high empowerment. So you have the services of a accountant, you have the services of a legal professional. They can change their way according to the consumer. They can also change how the service is being provided according to the need of the customer. And finally, you have services on the basis of service delivery and processing focus. Now, processing focus is where? So, when a service is performed, it is performed where? Either it will be performed on the body. So, you have massage services, you have hair salon, then you have mind consultancy, you have tangible asset. You have a laptop, it is need repair. You go to a service store, and then you have intangible assets. And the delivery system can be one to one, it can be one to one sequential, and it can be one to many. So, for example, if the focus is on mind, the delivery system could be what? So, in case of counseling, the delivery focus is one to one sequential. That is, I will deal with you, then I will deal with another person, then I will deal with another person. Then you have a video game in a arcade system. The delivery system is one to one. So, one person will be there in one machine. And then you have a classroom lecture. You have delivery system of one to many. So, processing focus can be clubbed with any of the delivery system. Now, after the type of services, the next topic which we have is the service quality. Now, in service quality, you can see that a quality of service is always judged by what the customer thinks. Now, there are some normal criteria which we can pinpoint in the service quality, and we are going to cover them now. So, first and foremost, you have reliability. Now, whether the service is performed dependently and accurately. This is the first service quality which a customer check. Then you have access to the services, where the service is accessible, whether it is delivered to you with a little waiting time. So waiting time is very important in services. So when you call a electrician, you want that electrician to come to your house as early as possible. So you will also judge the electrician not only according to his job, but how much time you have to wait to access his services. Then you have security, that is whether service is free from danger, risk, or doubt. So when you take a flight, you want to make sure that okay, whatever the airline who is operating this route, they have make sure that their airplane have done all the audit before flying. Then you have credibility, that is how much credible is the service provider. Now, more often than not, this credibility comes with trust, and trust comes with when you use the services. Yes, you can take a feedback from other customer, but with the service, as we have discussed, you can only judge a service after you have taken it. No two individual can experience the same services in the same manner. Then you have understanding the customer, that is how much effort has been put in by the service provider to understand the customer's need. And that is the most important thing of the services, because services can be very easily customized according to the need of the customer. So therefore it becomes very important for the service provider so to understand the need of the customer. Then you have responsiveness, that is how willing the service employee is to help the customer and deal with their specific problem. Then you have competence, that is to what extent do employee possess the required skills and knowledge to perform the services. So if I go to a hospital and I deal with a doctor, that doctor has to be competent enough to deal with my problem. Then you have courtesy. Courtesy is a very important part because services have a lot of human factor involved. So because of that, the politeness, the consideration given to the customer's need becomes very important. Then you have tangible. As I told, there are a lot of services which are clubbed with the tangible. So how do physical facilities, equipment, the personal sitting there, the communication materials, how does that interact with the employee with the customers? So when you go to a restaurant, if you look waiters in different clothing, then it does not give you a very good feeling. But if you go to a restaurant and the waiters all are wearing very clean and single dress, common dress, uniform, then you will say that okay, this restaurant looks very professional. Then finally you have communication, that is how good the organization is at communicating effectively. So if I am taking a flight and if my flight is delayed, I want that information to be given to me as early as possible so that I can plan my travel accordingly. So therefore, communicating with the consumer regarding their service delivery also becomes very important. With this, we have completed our session. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.